So today we're going to talk about the 8 success habits everyone should implement. Basically, it's January. Maybe some of you made some goals or resolutions for the year or the next quarter or a few months, or you're thinking about, hey, how did 2022 go? What are some things we can do or I can do to make 2023 even better? One of the things I like to tell people is take all the good things that you did in 2022 last year and keep moving those forward and progressing. And then look at all the negative or bad things that happened, bad choices maybe we made in 2022, and learn from those, learn what we don't want to keep doing or what we want to change, and then just leave that behind in last year and move forward. It doesn't really do any good to hold on to negative ideas or past experiences or judgments from the past. Start today and move forward to make 2023 a really great year. So we're going to talk about some good success habits. This is so we can have a positive 2023, kind of become the best version of ourselves. If you guys have comments or thoughts along the way, please put your questions in the chat or raise your hand, or people will be monitoring that and you can unmute yourself and ask so we can have a discussion throughout. So we'll get started here. There we go. All right, so success habit number 1 is discover your why. And I want you guys to think about this idea where if you had to be the person you are today for the rest of your life, would you be happy? And maybe another way to ask that is, if you were the same today as you were 5 or 10 years ago, would you be happy? Hopefully the answer, some of you may be thinking, well, yes, I mean, I'm a good person, so I'm happy if I stay the way I am. But really, we want to continue to grow and progress, right? Become better versions of ourselves over time. So we don't want to stay stagnant. We want to become better. And part of that is having a purpose, having meaning, having vision, and understanding what our why is. A lot of times we define success, or we do things because of what other people want us to do. And so instead of trying to achieve success and become who others want us to be, we should create our own definition of success. So think about in your own minds as we're going through this, what does success, a successful life, look like for me? What does success in my relationships look like? What does success in my business or my work look like? What does success in my health and taking care of my body and exercise look like? What does success in my mental and the ideas and how I'm growing my mental capacity? How does success look like for my spiritual growth, right? There's lots of areas of our life. And if we could ask ourselves how we're doing, and then even ask this question, what is one thing I could do today, I could start today that would make a large, meaningful, and positive difference in my life in each of these areas? So again, with your relationships, what is one even small thing I could do today that would make a meaningful difference? So those are the kind of things that help us become better, help us grow and strengthen our relationships and ourselves. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. One of the things that is key with why is our identity. Our identity is the most powerful force that influences everything else in life. So lasting change that we want to improve comes from and always requires a change in identity. So how do you identify yourself in different ways? What is it that you want to change? And if you want to change those behaviors, then we need to change our identity, our why. So one example is maybe a smoker, right? If you're a smoker and you're trying to quit and you ask somebody and they say, oh yeah, I haven't smoked for 27 days. Well, that person, where's their mentality? They're counting days because they want to see how long they go before they smoke again. They haven't changed their identity. They're just counting the days. Instead, if they say, how many days has it been since I smoked? Doesn't matter. I'm not a smoker. I'm not one of those anymore. That's a different mindset, correct? They don't see themselves as a smoker. Instead of as a smoker that has gone 27 days, they've changed their mindset that I am not a smoker. So if we want to change who we are in different ways, if we want to grow personally, our identity is key. Who do we identify as in each of these areas? Think about that. All right, so get clear on where you want to go and who you want to be, because if there's a line, if we are where we are now and we want to get to this point, then we can make a plan to get there. But if we're not really sure who we want to be, what traits we want to grow in, where we want to go, what our goals are, then how do we make a plan to get there, right? So we want to make sure that we figure that out. So one of the techniques or tools that lots of life coaches and others use is this 7 levels to your real why. And you ask yourself, what is important to you about becoming successful in blank? So if it's to, however you define success, successful in your job, successful in your relationship, right? Why is it important to you about becoming successful in blank? And then you write, well, it's important for me because, and you write that out. Okay, well, why is it important for you? And then you say what's in that first box. And then you go down because you have to keep digging. A lot of times we just say superficial things. Why is it important to you to be successful in your relationship with your kids? Because I love my kids and I want the best for them. Okay, well, why is it important for you that you want the best for them? Like, why do you want the best for them? Well, I want the best for them because, and then you say the next thing, and it just keeps going. And when you get usually to the 7th, 6th, and 7th level, it becomes emotional. And you don't really change if there's no emotion, right? Emotion needs to be there. So as you get there and you become emotional about why you're so desirous and so important to you to build that relationship with your child, then that becomes your why. And then other things of grudges, or they did this or they did that, go the wayside. It doesn't matter much anymore because you have a more meaningful and strong, powerful why, and that's what guides you. So when hard times come, you can overcome those by accomplishing whatever it is you want to accomplish. Does that make sense? Anybody have any thoughts or questions so far? I encourage you to try this. It's a good experience for whatever you're trying to accomplish in life. All right, success habit number 2, seeking personal growth. So one of the, equations of a successful life that was on the flyer that we put out is success, as you define it, having a fulfilling, successful life is personal growth, number 1, passion, doing something you're passionate about, right? Engaging in things that you love and are passionate about. So you're growing personally, you're moving forward, you're increasing your abilities in different ways. So you feel fulfilled in that way. You have a passion that you're doing something that you have a passion for. Contribution, where you're serving and giving to others. And then relationships, where you're strengthening those positive, close relationships. If you have those 4 things, personal growth, passion, relationships, and contribution or service in your life, then that is what many people say is having a fulfilling or successful life. So success habit number 2 is seeking personal growth. And personal growth, just let me know if I'm wrong or if you agree here, but doesn't usually happen if times are always good. If you look back over your life at times that you grew the most, for me, it was because of adversity, right? It was because of challenging times, hard times. There's different things that you go through that everybody has to go through. And while you're going through it, you don't like it. But when you look back, you say, I'm glad I went through that because I wouldn't be the person I am today if I hadn't have gone through that. And painful situations help us to grow. They help us expand. They help us deepen our concern and care more for other people. There are compassion for others. And so instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Maybe a better question would be, what can I learn from this experience? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So ask yourself these questions. How do I choose to deal with challenges? How do you deal with challenges in your relationships? A lot of people, when a challenge comes, they can go one or two ways, right? It can put them into depression, or they can go down a negative and they go to drinking or alcohol or drugs or different things. They can be destructive behaviors. Others can work through it. Their relationships can be stronger, and they can end up on the other side of it stronger, right? More resilient. That's what resilience is. So does it lead to growth, or does it lead to something negative? Well, we can't be perfect in all things. So maybe some challenges we go negative, and other challenges it leads to growth. But what we want to try to have happen is to try to become stronger and stronger as much as we can. So there's a story that kind of illustrates this, and it's about a truck. So this couple just bought this new truck, and they were going to go out and get firewood. They lived up where it snows, maybe in Colorado or something, and they took their new truck that they loved, is 4-wheel drive, and went down the road and knew this location they wanted to go. And they drove off, kind of off the road onto a back road and parked. And it had just snowed, it was snowy, but that's no problem for their new truck with 4-wheel drive. And so they went and they parked, and they kind of got out, and they said, you know what, this isn't really the spot we want. Let's go down a little bit further. They got back in their truck, and they couldn't move. They were stuck in the snow. I'm like, what? Like, what is going on? We got this new truck, awesome tires, 4-wheel drive. We're not supposed to get stuck. Why are we stuck? And they tried and put things under the tires and tried to push it, and it wasn't working. And they were just kind of, wondering what to do. And so they said, well, we might as well, while we're here, waiting for maybe someone to come by, load up the truck and get some firewood. This isn't the best place, but we're going to start here. So they went, they started chopping down some trees and getting things ready, and they were loading the truck up with firewood, and they finished, and nobody had come by, and it was getting dark, and they're like, oh man, we're going to be stuck out here. Well, let's try it again. And they got in, and they got unstuck. What is it that got them and their truck unstuck from being in the snow? The load of firewood. Sometimes the load on us, the adversity, is what helps us to overcome and become stronger, to get unstuck in life, to move and grow. Because as we know, as we go through adversity, we continue to grow. So Viktor Frankl, he was in a concentration camp, World War II. And one of his quotes is, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. So instead of worrying about the situation in which we find ourselves, it's more important to think about our outlook and how we can address the situation, right? Abigail Adams says, it is not in the still calm of life that great characters are formed. The habits of a vigorous mind are formed in the contending with difficulties. So study after study shows that if we're able to conceive of failure as an opportunity for growth, we are all more likely to experience that growth, right? It's our mindset, it's our perspective. How are we looking at the situation? Also, I heard a story where one guy said that he came home and asked his kids at the dinner table each night, how have you failed today? And some people might be like, well, why would you ask your kids how have you failed? Because if it's not okay to try and fail, then we don't push ourselves. We don't go out of our comfort zone. We don't try new things. And so trying something new, even if we fail, should be celebrated because we're trying something new. Instead of being scared to try, we should be okay with failure. And failure depends on, it could be in a lot of different things, but not being super great at it. So reframe failure as an opportunity for growth, and that will more likely happen. History shows us also, if you look over the generations, that good times create weak people then create bad times create strong people, and strong people can create good times. So it's a cycle of the generations, and we can implement that in our own lives. So aim high even if you miss. Seek personal growth. Les Brown, a quote from him that I really like says, the reason why people don't grow or succeed is not because they aimed too high and missed, it's because they aim too low and hit. The sad thing is, he says, some people don't even aim at all. So think about that for a minute. What are you aiming at? What are your goals? Again, did you set some for this year? Did you set them high? Something that will get you outside of your comfort zone and stretch you a little bit and make you grow? Not unreasonable, but high. Or do you set something that's in your comfort zone that you know you can hit, and then you hit it and you're like, oh good, I accomplished my goal, but did it make you stretch? Are you really growing as you should? Is that what you want? And if you haven't aimed at all, it's time to write down some goals for this year or this quarter, right? We need to get outside of our comfort zone. You guys have probably seen something like this before with heard of your comfort zone. A lot of times we like to dwell in our comfort zone. Sometimes we step out of it and it's uncomfortable, and so we get back in our comfort zone. The problem is the comfort zone is too easy. It's incremental. It doesn't compel, excite, or motivate us to move forward and change. The discomfort zone is where we want to be. It's just outside of our comfort zone. We want to step into that discomfort zone. It's challenging, where you feel like it stretches you. You should feel some fear, some uncertainty, some doubt. If you don't, it wasn't hard enough, right? These feelings are indicators that you are outside of your comfort zone. So if you are trying to save money and inflation is high and you're not doing too well at that, and you've been saving $10, a week, and that's in your comfort zone, well, what would cause you to get into discomfort zone? With 20, with 30, 50, right? Whatever your goals are, step outside of your comfort zone and get into that discomfort zone where it stretches you a little bit. I heard there's a saying that says your next level of success in life lies just on the other side of your comfort zone. So if you never pass that comfort zone, then that next level of success, that fear that you go out and then find as you go out there in faith, right, in the darkness a little bit, that, wow, I can do this, you'll never have that stretch, you'll never have that growth. Then there's the delusional zone, right? It's unobtainable and unrealistic. So if you're saving 10 and 20, 30, 40, 50 would stretch you, saying I'm going to save $1,000 a month or a week, why even set that goal? So we want to be in the discomfort zone, not in the delusional zone. All right, working with others. Successful people focus on growing their strengths, right? And when we work with others who have strengths where we have weaknesses, then they model those for us, and we can surround ourselves by role models of what we want to accomplish. You've heard that we're kind of, the sum total of the top 5 or 10 people we hang around. So you may want to think about, who is it that I hang around a lot, and are they who I want to be? Are they pushing me? You want to be around people that are a little bit better than you, that are role models in different areas. If you play a sport, if you go play tennis, my kids play tennis, and if they always play people that are worse than them, they never get better. They need to go and play people that are better than them, and then they step up their game and they try harder and they focus, and then they get better. So who are we surrounding ourselves with? Who are we working with? Can we use people as accountability partners in our goals and in what we're striving for? Can we surround ourselves with people that are on our side saying, you can do this, and motivating us, rather than, you don't know how to do that? Why even try to get a new business? Why even try to start this or that? Right? Naysayers. We don't want to surround ourselves with those people. So think about who you're with, who you can include in your life that are role models, people that are doing things that you want to do, and have them help you to succeed. And then if you're strong in areas that other people need, then you can help them as well. Success habit number 3, align your goals and your purpose with your values. So again, we want to make sure we know what our values are and what our identity is, and so that our purpose and goals can align with what those values are. Because if our goals are doing something that don't align with our values, then we're just saying it because we think that's what other people want us to say. And we don't ever have the why, the bigger why, right? The intensity to accomplish those things. So what are our values? What's our purpose in this area of life? What do we want to accomplish? And make goals, smart goals, to accomplish those things. So one of the things that I like to have people do is We're at the beginning of 2023. And so picture with me, if you will, that we're at the end of 2023. It's December 31st, 2023. And you look back over 2023 and it was the best year ever, right? Best year of your life so far. Everything went right that could go right in your relationships, in your business, in your work, in your health, financially, whatever it is, everything went awesome in 2023. So we're at the end of 2023, looking back and thinking and picturing, man, that was an awesome year. All of these things happened. Well, write down, what are those things that happened? What made it such a perfect year? What are those things in the different areas, relationships, health, finances, etc. And then now that we're back at the beginning of 2023 in January, act as if those things are a reality. Put them forth as if those things will be accomplished because you already saw it at the end of 2023. Don't hope they happen. Make a plan and act as if those things will come to pass. Those things will happen. And if you do that, then you'll accomplish those things that you have and make 2023 really great. So hopefully you can apply that tool. I don't know if we send out the handout, but if not, and you want one, then we can get that. But there's a handout that has some of these activities on it. All right, so this is the RPM method. Result is the outcome that you want, right? What outcome is it that you want? Purpose. Why do you want it? Is it for you? Is it for your family? What is the purpose? You have to have kind of this meaning, this why behind it, because if you don't have a more powerful why to do it, then you're not going to when times get tough. You're just going to, things are going to come up and you're going to go, not going to exercise today. I know I'm supposed to be eating better, but that donut looks really good. Whatever it is, these little things are going to overpower unless you have a strong why. Part of that comes with people put up vision boards, right? They have goals that they put on their mirrors that they read each day. Different things help different people to accomplish it, but you have to have a strong why of it's meaningful and I really want to accomplish it because of this in order to overcome the things that keep you from what you want. And then MAP, massive action plan. Everything you can do to make it happen. What are the things that you can do? You write everything that you can do. And then choose the 20% that will produce 80% of the results, right? The 80-20 principle, if you've heard of that before, 20% of the people tend to do 80% of the work, or 20% of, what you're doing gives you 80% of the results. And so what are those 20% that you can focus on that will give you the results, and try to focus on that, and that will increase your results. So make an action plan. Again, if you're here and you're clear, you need clarity and you want to be here, what's the action plan to get there? You have the why, you know what you want, now what's the plan? One of the things to do this is to take or have fewer goals, more relevant goals. A lot of people have all of these goals they want to accomplish, and it's just kind of overwhelmed, right? People are like, wow, I'm not doing very well on any of these. I'm doing like 1 or 2, and I have 25. You get overwhelmed. That's not really helpful. So take a, bite size. Benjamin Franklin used to say that he was trying to improve himself, and he would take one thing he was working on and work on it for a few weeks until he got it and could kind of do it with less effort. And then he would add a second one and focus on that one while still doing the other one. And he'd go little bit by little bit. It's a whole lot better than trying to accomplish just everything. I'm going to work out every day. I'm going to stop eating this. I'm going to save money. I'm going to build this relationship. I'm going to build this business. But you can't do everything at once, then you don't end up doing nothing, right? So have fewer, more relevant goals. If you only have 10 arrows, your accuracy and likelihood of hitting your target is going to be better shooting at 3 targets than at 10 targets. If you have 1 arrow per target or 3 arrows per target, then you're more likely to hit that target, right? And goals should be behavior-based, right? Something you can control. It shouldn't be, I'm going to lose 30 pounds. It should be, I'm going to work out 20 minutes 4 times a week. I'm going to eat healthier in these ways. Those are behavior. You can control that. Can't necessarily control what your weight does. So keep that in mind. What is a hero? All right, this is Christopher Reeve. He played Superman, in case you didn't know, the original Superman. He said a hero is an ordinary individual who finds the strength to persevere and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles. So there's this idea of momentum, and it takes a lot of fuel, right, to get off the ground for a rocket ship to get going. Just a few feet takes a lot of energy, but then as it starts going up and builds this momentum, then it's a lot less fuel. And then as it gets up past the Earth's gravity and it's going out, say, to the moon, then it takes hardly anything. You've got the momentum, it kind of coasts up there, right? And that's similar to the momentum we need for our goals, right? At the beginning, if it's difficult and we're in our discomfort zone and it's stretching us, it's hard. That's why we need a powerful why. It's hard. And so it's going to take a lot of energy, a lot of thrust to get off the ground and get moving. If you don't exercise much or you hate it, it's gonna suck, to start. But as you start going and make it a habit and put forth that effort, then it's going to become easier. It's going to become easier. So we need to take massive, even if it's imperfect action, rather than having paralysis by analysis, right? Whatever that is. I'm going to start this business. I'm going to do this. And then you have to analyze every which way, and then you never get started. It's better to just get started, move forward, take massive action, even if it's imperfect action. Rather to start not knowing everything than to try to figure out everything and never to start. Any thoughts so far? No? Okay. Hopefully you're relating to this. If you're relating to this,
Well,
maybe type in the chat. Go ahead. Is that
Bryce,
Teresa?
I'm thinking that procrastination, is such a hard habit to break, and that probably what I know for my own self, that it took me a long time to get revved up, even though I hadn't set some goals. But by the time I revved, the years passed. I was kind of sitting back a bit, thinking, okay, tomorrow I'll put in the application. So I don't know what you think about that.
The beauty of procrastination.
Yeah.
Yeah. The hardest thing that people, we've found that for people is to just start. So one of my things is going out and exercising if it's not a game, right? If I get to go play tennis or pickleball or volleyball or something that's fun and there's an event, I'll go and do it. But if I just have to get up and go and take a run, or I've got to go and I got to lift weights, or I've got to get myself to the gym, I just don't do it, right? And so, but if I wake up in the morning and I'm just like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And we sit down and I start doing some push-ups and I do some sit-ups and I start, then I actually enjoy myself, right? I'm doing it. But the starting is so difficult. And so there's a book called Atomic Habits that kind of goes into this, and it's trying to put things in place to make it easier for us, right? So if you're trying to learn, say, the guitar, instead of having the guitar inside the case, inside your closet, and think I should play the guitar, you have the guitar out sitting right there with the stand, with music on it, with the chair. That makes it easy. You go, oh, I've passed this guitar a few times. Let me just sit down here. Making it easier for us to accomplish those things helps, right? And it's just the start. So we gotta, how do I start? And if I just start, I can do it. So there's a lot of discussion that could happen with that. Anybody else have any thoughts about procrastination and the power to just start something?
Bryce, there's a couple of comments. I have Sandra saying lots to think about, and Michael is saying great stuff, makes a lot of sense.
Good. Okay.
I've heard of the 7-second activity where you give yourself 7 seconds, and after 7, you just get up and do it. Because any longer, you won't do it.
Give yourself 7 seconds and then just do it. That's good. Yeah. Well, and it's character building, right? So if we can make goals, which are kind of promises to ourselves that we're going to do something, and we keep those promises to ourselves, then we build character. We're a character. We're a person full of character because we're keeping promises to ourselves. And so if we say, I want to do this, and then we go through the why. Why is it that you want to be successful in this area, right? What is it that's motivating you? And you have a more strong, powerful why. The stronger why is supposed to be there to be able to say no to those things that are keeping you from doing it. And if there's not a strong why, we may think, well, do I even really care about this goal? Is this a goal I should have right now? Maybe this isn't the time in my life for this, if there's not a powerful why. And so if we do have a powerful why, and we want to accomplish it, and it participates or contributes to our success of what we want for a fulfilling life, then we need to just tell ourselves, I'm the type of person that when I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I don't love to do it, but I'm going to do it because I'm a person of character, and it's character building. So if I say I'm going to get up at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. or whatever it is, and the alarm goes off at 7 and I keep snoozing it, I just lost some of that character building, right? If I want to get up at 7 and have a powerful why I want to do that, get up and do a morning routine. When 7 hits, I just get out of bed. Just get out of bed. Just do it. And when you keep your promises to yourself little by little, then that empowerment comes, and you have more power in the future to do things.
I like that, Bryce. I also, it brings back in memory, I'm quite old, but way back in the 50s, when I would play Mahjong or something with my friends. And I used to be critical of women who would say, oh, this is my son, Jason, the doctor. And the child was like 6 years old. Well, it planted because, as we grew and our kids grew, and then all of a sudden, Jason is a doctor, and I think, so planting, I liked what you said at the very beginning about, the person is not a doctor, not a smoker anymore. You don't identify. I loved that whole part about identifying, and what you say, your brain believes you. If you say this hurts, well, of course, the brain says, okay, well, it hurts.
Right.
So I love that. Thank you. That was a great thing.
Yeah, identity is key for sure.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Yep. And we'll talk more about the sentences we put in our brains and what it does. So that's coming up in a few slides. So thanks for saying that. So failure leads to success, right? Winston Churchill said, success consists of going from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. If we have failure and then we stop, how many things in this world would not be done? Would we not be able to experience? So I don't know how many of you are Harry Potter fans, or, whatever you're a fan of. They probably had failures. And instead of stopping because they had a failure, they kept going. So J.K. Rowling, her first Harry Potter book was rejected by 12 publishers before it found a home. So she's, a billionaire now because it's so popular. So even if you don't like it, lots of people like it, right? And she got turned down 12 times. There's lots of examples of that people get turned down and they just kept going, and then they become a success, right? And so what is it that you're trying that you really care about, and you've found 1 or 2 times that you failed at it or had rejection? Did you stop? Or are you going to keep going? If it's really powerful and you have a strong why and you want to do that, keep going, right? Going from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. All right, success habit number 4, listen to the inner hero, not the inner villain. So this is, there's a lot we could talk about with this, but all of us have kind of this inner hero, maybe on one shoulder, right, and the inner villain on the other shoulder, and it's telling us you can do it, and the other one's like, no, you're dumb and unsuccessful, and you can't do it, and everybody hates you, or you have no friends, or whatever it is. And so, who are we listening to? Who are the people we're listening to that are in our relationships? But who are we listening to for ourselves? Because we all have kind of this inner hero that tells us we can do it and we get motivated by it. But if you beat that person up too bad, then all you ever hear is the negativity, right? The inner villain. And so the more you listen to the inner hero and try things and see that you can do things, then the stronger that inner hero comes, and then the smaller the inner villain comes. And so one of these kind of ideas is the 2 wolves is kind of an example of this. And it's a kind of a story. A story that comes from an old Cherokee chief, and he was teaching his grandson about life. And so this is how it goes. He's around the fire and he's talking to his grandson and he says, "A fight is going on inside me," he said to the boy. "It is a terrible fight and it is between two wolves. One is evil. He is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, and inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, self-doubt, and ego. The other wolf is good. He is joy, peace, and love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. This same fight is going on inside of you and inside of every other person too." The grandson thought about it for a minute and then asked his grandfather, "Well, which wolf will win?" And the chief says, "The one you feed." So what does that mean? Who are we feeding? Are we feeding the inner hero? Are we feeding the inner villain? What are we hearing about ourselves? What are we telling ourselves? A lot of times we're our worst critic, right? We tell ourselves things that and other people think we're great at and we think we're bad at. We look at social media and how great everybody else's life seems to be, and ours isn't doing that. Ours isn't perfect. You know, we only see the perfect picture and not all the other chaos that's happening, right? We need to filter some of these outside influences and take a break sometimes from social media and news and pessimistic experiences and negative people, right? Things that tell us that we're not good enough, because that feeds the negative wolf inside of us. It feeds the inner villain. So how can we get away from feeding that, the negative wolf, the evil wolf, the inner villain, and how do we feed the inner hero? Well, a lot of these things that we're talking about today are to feed the inner hero so that we can feel empowered, feel like things are a possibility, and move beyond what we thought was capable, getting outside of our comfort zone into the discomfort zone, surrounding ourselves with people that will kind of motivate us to be better, right? To challenge us instead of put us down, to get away from the self-defeating behaviors that we have, the self-defeating thoughts that we have about ourselves. How do we get out of that? Who are we feeding and who are we not? Because the ideas we put in our mind, the sentences that we say to ourselves, the self-talk is powerful. It feeds our identity, and identity is everything.
Being a good gatekeeper is very important.
Yes. Do you have an example of how that might, a gatekeeper that could be useful, or something you've used in the past?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you said, when those negative sentences come into your head, you change them to a positive and you restate them.
Yeah.
To where you want to be.
Yeah, some people do affirmations or declarations. I just listened to Tony Robbins, if any of you know who he is. He's worked with a lot of different people, presidents, and a lot of famous people. And he said when he was starting, and things he did is he would go walking or jogging by himself, or even if it was in his own house, and the things that he wanted to accomplish, right? He would just yell out, "I am a whatever, successful in this. I am a good father, blah, blah, blah," right? You write those things out of what you want to be. And instead of saying, "I want to be," it's "I am." You're changing your identity. Your identity is this. And you say it out loud, you yell it, you move around, because as you move and blood flows, then you have emotion, and emotion gets it down deep instead of just sitting there thinking, "Oh, I am a good father." If you're up moving around yelling, "I am a good father," and you say that over and over again, and you talk about things, then as things come up, you think about that, and then instead of yelling at your kid, right, you do something different to make yourself a better father. So yeah, that's one good thing, Michael. I like that as kind of these affirmations, telling yourself, changing the sentences that you're feeding, right?
Yeah.
Your mind.
Good. Yeah. I mean, how about the subconscious? Does the subconscious have a lot to do with, I mean, if you get this in your subconscious, does that really helps you, right?
For sure. Yep. And that's part of changing those neural pathways, right? And if we've built these neural pathways in our brain, these habits of thinking or changing, of acting or reacting, right? If something happens, I react with anger, and I built that neural pathway, that's subconscious, then I continue to do that unless I break that habit. I break that neural pathway and make a new one. And so there's lots of ways, things that we can do to make the new one, but you can't just keep doing the old. Yeah. All right. So here's we're talking about the story we tell ourselves, right? The past is just a story we tell ourselves. We have these internal conflicts that we need to eliminate. We have limiting beliefs that we need to change, right? The barrier is the limiting belief or story that you tell yourself, right? The difference between who we are now and who we want to be can and is the story we tell ourselves, our inner narrative. It's powerful because what we think then contributes to what we do, our actions, and then what we do over and over become habits and who we are. And so we need to change the story we tell ourselves, and that comes from then our identity, right? Who are we? Are we someone who stopped smoking for 27 days, or are we a non-smoker, right? Are we a person that has patience and listens, or are we quick to anger? Whatever it is that you're working on, that's one that I'm working on, to have more patience and be less to act instead of react, right? What's our identity? And then how do we change our story so that we can reprogram our neural pathways to the subconscious so that we then are that person, right? It's super powerful. We change our narrative from limiting beliefs and the victim mentality, right? What's the victim mentality? That we are how or where we are because of something or someone else, right? We're the victim. That if my boss didn't do this, then this would have happened. If politics would have done this, then I could have done this. If inflation didn't happen, then I could have saved more, right? It's always things happening to us. Now, I'm not talking about like abuse where someone gets physically or sexually abused or something. Obviously, they're a victim. I'm talking about just generally in our lives, blaming other people and things on our actions, our attitudes, and who we are. Right? If you want to know who you are and why you are and where you are in life, and just look in the mirror, and it's because of that person, right? And if you like it, great, keep moving forward. If you don't like it, then make some other plans and move forward. Again, take what you've done that's been negative and learn from it, and just drop it and start fresh and move forward. We can all move forward from where we are. So instead of having this victim mentality, or it's somebody else's fault, we take responsibility ourselves to one of abundance and empowerment, that we can change our lives, that it's up to us. No matter what the circumstance, we can do something different, right? And that's shown over and over again in many thousands of examples of people who've been in poverty or, in abusive relationships or whatever it is. And some people rise above it and become amazing in different things. Why is it that they did that? Because they took responsibility themselves, accountability, rather than playing the victim card. And they thought of empowerment and an abundant life and changed their lives, changed the story they told themselves. So change your story, change your life. It's really, really powerful. Here is a good idea, the story that she tells herself. Let's see, can you guys see my screen over here? Still?
Look, I can be a shark.
You guys can see the little girl in here? Yes? Okay.
Now, my whole house is great. I can do anything good. I like my school. I like anything. I like my dad. I like my cousins. I like my aunts. I like my Allisons. I like my moms. I like my sisters. I like my dad. I like my hair. I like my haircuts. I like my pajamas. I like my stuff. I like my rooms. I like my whole house. My whole house is great. I can do anything good. Yeah. I can do anything good.
All right. We should be more like her, right? What's the story she's telling herself? Yeah, she can do anything. And so that's part of affirmations, it's declarations. So what is it that we want? And what are we doing to motivate ourselves to do that? What are the stories we're telling ourselves? If we're just kind of sitting back and sleeping in and on social media or playing video games or, hoping we do things but don't, okay, that doesn't sound like the fulfilling life I think that you want to have. So you got to become crystal clear what you want, and then make some plans, make some declarations, go around your house yelling, I am, and state it, what you want to be. And your brain, you telling yourself that is rewiring those neural pathways, and you become that person that you want. What is it that you want to be? Become the best version of yourself. And it's the story you tell yourself. If your story you tell yourself is bad, you're not going to become the best version of yourself for sure, right? So we need to figure out that inner narrative and become the best version of ourselves. So think about this for a minute. What is your old story? The story you've been telling yourself in different areas. And then what is your new story? I invite you to think about that today and write those things down. What's my old story? Write that out. Someone that procrastinated, someone that blah, 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 whatever your old story is. But then you empower yourself and write a new story. And then how do you accomplish that new story? You read the new story, you have declarations, you rewrite your neural pathways, you figure out your stronger why, you figure out the identity of yourself, you change that identity so that you're the person that does this, and then you do those things, right? All these things that we're talking about. So what do you believe, right? Do you believe that you are a person that is angry? Do you believe you're a person who is kind? Are you a person that is patient? You know, there's lots of things, right? What do you believe that you are? I am a person that blank. And if you think you're an angry person, then that's a story you're telling yourself. That's a self-defeating behavior, right? Also, how do you see life? Right? Do you see life as a battle? Are you always battling people? Are you always challenging them? No, that's not right. Do it this way. That's not always positive, right? Not that we can't challenge people, but do you see life as a test? Do you see life as a blessing, as a privilege, as a gift, as joy? So how we see life and who you believe you are, those contribute to identity, right? And if we change the story we tell about ourselves, then we can change ourselves. So ask yourself, how do I view life? How do I want to view life? Right? All right. So we only have 10 minutes left. We're gonna have it 5 of 8. So I'm gonna go a little faster here. Sorry for, hopefully you guys are getting something out of this, and we'll just move forward. So we talked a little bit about this accountability in the victim card, right? Being self-aware, understanding how we influence others, and taking accountability, right? Versus the victim mentality that we already talked about. So you want to think about, what can I do to move forward in this area, right? Rather than being a victim, the accountability is, even though all these things are happening, yes, there's some challenges, but what can I do to move forward in this area despite what is happening? How can I make things better and provide more value, even though there's these challenges, right? They're solution focused. They're looking for constant and never-ending improvement, right? Kaizen, rather than how do I get away with this? How can I do less? What can I stop doing and nobody notices, right? That's a different identity than constant and never-ending improvement and providing more value. And what can I do to move forward? The abundance mentality, right? So choose to live with abundance instead of as a victim. Only you can choose to live with abundance and happiness. This idea, again, of scarcity, there's only enough, and so I'm not going to share with others. I'm going to keep things secret. And versus abundance, like, hey, you know, the people that really are successful and win at life in different areas are those who solve problems, you know, and help others get what they want. Because as you help others get what they want, then it comes back kind of this karma, and you get what you want, right? There's lots of stories. We don't have time. If we did, I'd share a story. But as you're serving and helping others, then you receive blessings from that. That's just kind of how it is. And we go from scarcity to abundance is a big shift in mentality. So quote here says, happiness is not the belief that we don't need to change. It's a realization that we can. Because if we feel like our identity, we're stuck in this, and we have the victim mentality of, I can't do anything about this, wow, right? That's a closed mindset, rather a fixed mindset. How debilitating is that if you think there's nothing I can do to fix that? But instead, having a realization that I can do something to influence that and I can change it, then that empowers you to be able to move forward. All right, you are what you think and what you do. Accept responsibility for your actions. Be accountable for your results. Take ownership of your mistakes. So there's a couple other videos and things that we could share if we were doing this longer. Tony Robbins has a great one. If you want to search it, just search Tony Robbins and beautiful state, or you could just type in the Google, living in a beautiful state, and stuff from Tony Robbins will come up. And it's really great making a decision. Do I want to live life in a miserable state, in one of anger or pessimism or conflict, or do I want to live in a beautiful state? And as things come up, they could potentially cause you to be angry or negative or these challenges, instead of totally influencing you and affecting your day or week, you can kind of look at it and say, okay, well, there it is. I need to address it. But instead of reacting to it, I'm going to act. Instead of it acting on me, I'm going to act on this issue. And you kind of see it and it passes you by and you say, I'm going to take care of that, but it's not going to totally affect me right now, right? So lots of things we could talk about there. But success habit number 6, create morning and evening routines. Lots of successful people have routines. So what is it that you're doing in the morning? What is it that you're doing in the evening? All right, a morning routine might be you start with 5 or 7 minutes and then expand into 20, 30 minutes, even 60, right? Your routine. So what is it that you do? The point is to begin small. As you reap the benefits, you'll find more ways to expand that time. So is it reading something, right? Is it meditating? Is it a little bit of exercise? Is it writing in your journal, right? Different things that you can do in the morning to look over the top 3 things I want to accomplish for today are. And then before you go to bed, what is it? Spending time with a spouse or loved one, writing the things that you accomplished for the day and what you want to accomplish tomorrow, reading a book that expands your mind. There's different habits, and that there's a lot of discussion that could happen on that as well. But think about to have a successful life, success habit is having evening and morning routines and what that might look like for you. You can also search that on YouTube, evening routines or morning routines, and there's a lot of good stuff out there on that. Having an attitude of gratitude, not comparing. Again, lots of times we get on social media or other things and we compare ourselves to others and what they have and what we don't have, and woe is me, I wish I had this, wish I had this. Instead of comparing and worrying so much about what we don't have, how about we show gratitude and feel gratitude in our lives for what we do have? There's so many things to be grateful for. And there's lots of research out there that shows that as you think about and express gratitude and feel gratitude in your life, right, that there's all of these health and other benefits and outcomes for you. So gratitude isn't just something nice to do, but research compared to other people that are doing different things, gratitude is powerful, as is they found prayer and forgiveness on those as well in the literature are powerful in helping us to live a life full of achievement and success. So I also want to make this point even more. It says, instead of trying to achieve success according to someone else, create your own. I know we said that at the beginning, but you want to think about, am I doing things because other people, I think that's success for them? Is it climbing the corporate ladder? Is it making more money? Is it going on more vacations and better vacation? Is that what you think success is? Or what is it really to you? What is success? A fulfilling, successful life where you feel happiness and joy. What does that mean to you? Right? How do you experience happiness? What would be like the best 2023, the best life? And do those things. Put your ladder and start working on those things, right? Stephen Covey said, if the ladder is not leaning against the right wall, every step we take just gets us closer to the wrong place or to the wrong place faster. So we should be working hard on what other people think are success or other people's goals. We should be figuring that out for ourselves and then working on those. And then if people invite us to participate in other things that don't align with those goals, then you should build your capacity to say no, right? Thank you, but no. We don't have to say yes to everything. And you should look at one of the tools I do. I do some life coaching. One of the things I help people do is create a not to-do list. What are all the things I'm doing? And am I doing them that are accomplishing, right, my goal and my vision? Or are they doing other things? And if there are other things, can I put them on my not to-do list? There's a lot of things we do that we don't really need to do that don't really accomplish what we want. And so maybe cutting out some of the excess would be good. Appreciation is powerful, right? Making a list of good things in your life, replacing expectations with appreciation. I know in my relationship with my wife and kids, I try to do this. And when I do it, things are better. When I don't do it, they're not as good. We can have expectations and help people, right, to grow. But instead of, again, is life a challenge and everything there is, oh, you're not measuring up here and you're not measuring up here. And why aren't you getting this? And why aren't you doing this? How about we appreciate more? We can appreciate what they are doing, recognize those things. That goes a lot longer way of actually helping them change and want to do more than complaining about them not meeting our expectations. Success habit number 7. This is the give, contribute, serve part, right? Again, my definition of success is doing something that you're passionate about, personal growth, contributing, serving, and then building stronger relationships. And so, acts of altruism, giving to friends and strangers alike, decrease stress and strongly contribute to enhanced mental health. Lots of good things we can say about giving, lots of ways to give. You can do it financially, emotionally, listening, serving and using your strengths and abilities and your talents. Lots of things that we can do to give. Just Serve is a place here in Las Cruces. I think it's across in different places up in Albuquerque and things, but if you go on justserve.org, there's ways to go and serve the community that you live in. So giving helps us have more gratitude and see and bless the lives of others. And it's hard to live a fulfilling life when it's always all about me, right? It's all about me. If we look outward, how can I benefit and help others get what they want as well? And that contributes. And then the last success habit, number 8, is nurture your relationships. So your family, your friends, your close relationships, you want to ask yourself, are these meaningful? Are they powerful? Are they full of life? Am I being purposeful and intentional in strengthening this relationship? Again, a question you can ask is, what is one thing I could do today that make a large, meaningful difference in this relationship? And then do that, right? If you think sometimes thoughts come in your head like you should appreciate them for something or compliment them on something or call them or text them or whatever, and then you refrain and don't do that, I would try to stop doing that and follow those thoughts that come into your mind. If you have a thought to do something, especially if it's positive, do it and your life will be enriched, right? Social relationships are the best guarantee of heightened well-being and lowered stress. Longevity of life, they found from all of these different things, from eating healthy and exercise and all these things, one of the most powerful things that had longevity of life and a happy life is the strength of our close relationships. So work on those. No other success in life can compensate for failure in the home is a quote I like. All right, so remember, discover your why, seek personal growth. Align your goals with your purpose and values. Listen to the inner hero and not the inner villain. Feed that inner hero, right? Take accountability, be self-aware, create evening and morning routines, serve in different ways, contribute, give, bless the lives of others, and nurture those relationships. Okay, well, sorry the last few weren't as long and good as the first few, but if anybody has any questions or thoughts, I'm happy to stick around and we can talk about those.
As we close, B just put in the chat an evaluation link, and this is really important that we gather this data. So if you would just take a moment as you leave and just click on that link. It's very short, but we would really appreciate that. B, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Yes, I actually
Before we-
posted a different link. I was looking at a video and I posted a video. It's really beautiful also, but the evaluation is this one that says ACES and MSU .AZ1. So I apologize for the confusion. Is the last one, the last link that I posted is the one for the evaluation, but you can also enjoy the other video. It's a beautiful video. There was a lot of really good comments. Thank you. I appreciate some people said I need to work in my inner hero. Lots of good comments. Thank you everybody for all the comments that you shared with us.
Or thank
And
you.
I wanted
everyone.
to
Also
let you
just,
know.
sorry, I just
Oh,
put a
what were you
couple
gonna say,
of
Bryce? Go ahead.
YouTube videos in that we didn't cover. One was on the beautiful state and the other one was some evening routines. So if people wanted to look at those, I
Great.
just put those videos in there, links. Go ahead, Dan, sorry.
Bryce, you referenced a handout. Is that, I can go ahead and send that. I thought I would do an email to all the participants. We'll send you the recording link, the handout. And for those of you that might miss the evaluation, I sent it to you in email yesterday, but I'll also send it again with the recording and the handout. Any other thoughts, Bryce, as we wrap up?
For me, unless somebody else had a thought or question, appreciate everybody coming and hopefully some of this resonates. Pick at least one thing and do something, right? Don't just listen and be passive, but there's a lot of ideas. Just even if you just take one, do something. Appreciate it.
Great. Thank you so much for coming. And we'll be doing more of these statewide webinars. So we've done quite a few in the past and we really enjoy them. So we'll keep you posted on what's coming up. Thank you so much for coming. And if you have questions or anything you'd like to talk with Bryce about, feel free to stay on. Thank you.